The midterm elections are here, and the results may determine the future of democracy. Ignore the mainstream media with their shallow coverage of the horse race. They are acting like this is a regular election. But this is no regular election. This is not politics as usual. In fact, this is very unusual politics, where we're fighting for the future of our democracy. The Republicans represent an existential threat to America, and only by voting for Democrats can you change the trajectory of history. You've all seen the ads. The Republicans are promising a lot of things, but don't believe their propaganda. Here are 10 reasons why you should vote for the Democratic Party on Tuesday, November 8th. Number 10, Democrats believe in science. Republicans don't believe in science. That's why they botched our response to COVID-19. Led by their dear leader, Donald Trump, Republicans fought wearing masks, even though they save lives. They tried to keep churches open, even though they are a vector for spreading the virus. Republicans pushed unproven drugs like ivermectin and hydrochloroquine. The result? More than 1 million Americans have died from COVID. For the past 6 months, the United States averaged 300 to 500 COVID deaths daily. People think it's over. It's not. A June study published in Health Affairs found that counties with a Republican majority had a greater share of COVID deaths through October 2021 relative to majority Democratic counties. Listening to Donald Trump and the Republican Party can be hazardous to your health. If you care about science and want a party that's serious and won't politicize a deadly virus, you'll vote for Democrats. If you want more recklessness and irresponsibility, you'll vote Republican. Number 9, Democrats fight for common sense gun safety. They support laws to keep weapons of war out of the hands of crazy people, keep weapons of war off the streets. Republicans, on the other hand, they are owned by the National Rifle Association. They take direct orders from the NRA. Let's face it, the Second Amendment, as interpreted by Republicans, is an experiment that has failed. Consider that we are a country where gun deaths reached the highest number ever recorded in 2020, surging by 35%. We are a country that has 331 million people, yet an astounding 400 million guns in circulation. We are a nation where more Americans have died from gunshot wounds in the last 50 years than in all wars combined in American history. Let that sink in. Republicans claim to love family values, yet the rate of gun deaths of children 14 and younger rose by roughly 50% from the end of 2019 to the end of 2020, and it's only increasing today. Meanwhile, in spite of these facts, most Republicans are for eliminating virtually all gun restrictions. Governor Greg Abbott has turned Texas into the wild, wild west. Everything goes, anything goes. It's absolutely nuts in the Lone Star State, and Republicans want to turn the rest of America into what's happening in Texas. Under Republican leadership, we can expect more gun violence, including hate crimes and school shootings. Vote for Democrats if you've had enough of this dystopian nightmare and want real change to gun safety laws in America. Number 8. With Republicans in power, the issue of race is always a race to the bottom. They inflame tensions and engage in divisive culture wars. Exhibit A, Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville, who gave bigoted remarks on race and crime at a Trump rally.
They want crime because they want to take over what you got. They want to control what you have. They want reparation because they think the people that do the crime are owed that. They are not owed that.
In a time where Americans need to come together, to heal, and to provide hope, Republicans offer nothing but hate and further harm. Their answer to racial division is nominating Herschel Walker for Senate in Georgia. Can you believe this? If you think Herschel Walker is the answer to racial tension in America, you might want to listen to Georgia pastor Jamal Bryant.
Ladies and gentlemen, when the Republican Party of Georgia moved Herschel Walker from Texas to Georgia so that he could run for Senate, it's because change was taking too fast in the post-antebellum South. The state had been flipped blue, and there are some principalities that were not prepared for a black man and a Jewish man to go to Senate at the exact same time. So they figured that they would delude us by picking somebody who they thought would in fact represent us better with a football than with a degree in philosophy. They thought we were so slow, that we were so stupid, that we would elect the lowest caricature of a stereotypical broken black man as opposed to somebody who is educated and erudite and focused. Y'all ain't ready for me today.
Sorry, Republicans. Herschel Walker is a joke, and he's a slap in the face to those who have actually fought for civil rights. If voters want America to be a nation where all people are treated equally, with dignity and respect, they will vote for Democrats. If you vote for Republicans, you're also going to get more anti-Semitism. That's a promise. There has been an explosion of hatred against Jews in the United States. Where did this begin? Where did it come from? Well, it began with Donald Trump. He courted white supremacists during his first campaign in 2015. At first, he refused to condemn former Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke. He pretended he wasn't familiar with him when we all know he actually was. Then President Trump failed to strongly condemn neo-Nazis at a rally in Charlottesville.
You will not replace us!
He called those Nazis some very fine people. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis has repeatedly refused to denounce or condemn Nazis. This should not be controversial. Apparently, in today's Republican Party, it is. If you want more racial tension, if you want more racial animosity, you'll vote for Republicans. If you want people working together who want to create a country that lives up to its ideals, you'll vote for Democrats. Number 7, Republicans talk a good game on immigration, but Republicans have no plan. The only thing they offer is building an expensive boondoggle of a wall. Newsflash to Republicans. Airplanes have been invented so would-be immigrants can fly over the wall. Drills, saws, and dynamite have been invented too, so immigrants can go through the wall. Let's not forget tunnels for burrowing underneath the wall. Oh, and ladders exist too, so immigrants can climb over the wall. Not to mention, if the wall is built by Donald Trump and his shoddy construction, it might just fall apart on its own. A border wall is not a plan, it's a gimmick. Democrats offer a comprehensive immigration reform plan that would fix the problem. They offer a realistic path to citizenship, so people would not feel compelled to come to the United States undocumented. Don't believe the lies. Republicans do not support comprehensive immigration reform. They are too scared of their rabid anti-immigrant base to pursue real answers to this issue. So the problem keeps festering, while Republicans point fingers and instead offer nothing except pabulum and rhetoric. If you want more excuses and belly aching at the border, vote Republican. If you want viable solutions without rhetoric, vote for Democrats. Number 6, MAGA Republicans do not support LGBTQ equality. Republican states have offered a record number of anti-gay and anti-trans bills this year and last year. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis passed a noxious Don't Say Gay law that singles out and persecutes LGBTQ students. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott ordered state child welfare officials to launch child abuse investigations against parents who were offering gender-affirming care to their children. So Abbott is going after families who were following the best medical advice in the world and trying to help their children. And yet they're getting attacked by a governor for political reasons. This is dangerous and messed up. Some families with transgender children have been so scared of this persecution, of this attack in Texas, they've been forced to leave their homes and move away from the Lone Star State. In Idaho, a conservative organization is working behind the scenes on a bill to ban public drag shows. Yeah, I know that sounds, totalitarian, because it is. It's actually big government telling citizens what they can and cannot wear. It's big government going into your closet and picking out your clothes. Not to mention its hatred against the LGBTQ community, targeting a minority, singling them out for ridicule and discrimination. If you care about your LGBTQ friends and family members and coworkers and neighbors, there is no way that you can vote Republican. If you choose Democrats at the ballot box on Tuesday, they will vote to codify gay marriage so the right-wing Supreme Court cannot vote to take away this fundamental right. Number 5, Ukraine is the front line of freedom. Ukrainians have fought with valor and distinction to secure their democracy against Russia's unprovoked attack. Today, we discovered that in newly liberated villages, Ukrainian investigators have uncovered heinous and unspeakable crimes such as sexual violence and torture. This follows news about Russia bombing civilians, torturing captives, and kidnapping Ukrainian children and taking them back to Russia. Oh, by the way, that's a war crime. If the Russian barbarians win this war, the entire free world is in jeopardy. It is in grave danger. If you vote for Democrats, Ukraine will get the funding and the arms it needs to be victorious over Russia. If Republicans win, would-be House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has said he is considering canceling American funding and weapons for Ukraine. They would basically hand over Ukraine on a silver platter to Mother Russia at a time that they're winning the war. This is crazy. Republican appeasement will not bring peace. It will only embolden Vladimir Putin and encourage every brutal dictator across the globe to engage in military adventurism. A vote for Democrats is a vote to protect Ukrainian democracy and deliver a serious blow to dictators and tyrants across the globe. Number 4, climate change is the most significant challenge facing humanity. Whether we have a future as a species depends on acting quickly before it is too late. Time is of the essence. The effects of climate change are being experienced throughout the entire world. We have felt the oppressive heat waves. We have witnessed the out-of-control wildfires, such as in California. People are losing their lives in enormous storms, such as we had seen in Florida with the most recent hurricane. And they are drowning in mega floods, like we saw in Pakistan. Beloved rivers and lakes are drying up right in front of our eyes. Have you seen Salt Lake? Have you seen Lake Mead? And yet Republicans are still miraculously blind to climate change. Meanwhile, Democrats are taking immediate, swift action. Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, which helped electric utilities switch to lower emission sources of energy and inspire Americans to buy electric vehicles through tax credits. The differences between the two parties on climate change could not be greater. A vote for Democrats is a vote for the future, and a vote for Republicans is a vote for failure on climate change. Number 3. The Republican Party hijacked the Supreme Court and overturned Roe v. Wade. A lot of people said, oh, this would never happen. Guess what? It happened. Overnight, millions of women in red states lost their reproductive freedom. Just like that. It was gone. It went away. If the Republicans take over Congress, they will try to pass a national law to limit or outlaw abortions. From coast to coast, women would become second-class citizens with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, nowhere to go. The entire country would be ruled like Alabama or Mississippi. President Joe Biden has promised that if Democrats control the legislature next year, he will sign a law that codifies abortion rights. If Republicans win, women lose. Forced births will become the law of the land. If Democrats win, on the other hand, reproductive freedom will be protected and expanded from coast to coast. For reproductive freedom, the choice between Democrats and Republicans could not be clearer. Number 2, Democrats are far superior on the economy. Did you know that since 1933, the economy has grown at an annual average rate of 4.6% under Democratic presidents and only 2.4% under Republicans? So when people say I'm fiscally conservative, I am like a Republican economically, they don't know what they're talking about. Republicans are worse on the economy. Right now, life is tough for American families. I get it. It's very difficult to make ends meet. But inflation and gas prices are high worldwide, not just in America. Democrats are working on your behalf to create jobs and lower prices. They support raising the minimum wage. They support the popular child tax credit that drastically reduced child poverty. Republicans opposed it. Joe Biden has brought microchip manufacturing back to America. The president signed legislation to lower prescription drug costs for seniors. That's going to help the economy. That's going to help a lot of people with their pocketbooks. Republicans don't believe in any of that. The president brought us an infrastructure law that will put Americans back to work, building roads, tunnels, bridges, and high-speed rail. Again, Republicans were against this. It's difficult to actually know what Republicans are for. If you vote for Republicans, it will not solve your economic problems. It will make them significantly worse. Republicans have no plan whatsoever to address inflation or boost the economy. The one exception is Larry Kudlow, who was Donald Trump's top economic advisor from 2018 to 2021. Here is Kudlow's genius advice on jumpstarting America's economy.
The new British Prime Minister Liz Truss has laid out a terrific supply-side economic growth plan, which looks a lot like the basic thrust of Kevin McCarthy's Commitment to America plan.
Trump economic advisor Stephen Moore echoed Kudlow's insane advice on the economy.
Liz Truss is turning into a hero. I had some doubts about her when she was first nominated, but she has been a superstar. I mean, it's hard to find anything not to like.
So there you have it, folks. If the Republicans gain power, they plan to copy disgraced former Prime Minister Liz Truss's economic plan. It seems that Trussonomics is the Republican economic answer if you vote for them. How'd that work out in the UK? I don't know. Maybe it crashed their economy? Republicans are not focused on your pocketbook. You need to understand that. Instead of solutions, they offer sideshows and distraction. For example, aspiring House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has pledged to let Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah, the crazy one, run endless investigations against Democrats. Just like they did with Benghazi and Hillary Clinton, really going after Democrats day after day if they take over. Talk about a waste of time when we need them focused on the economy. Republicans even want to impeach Joe Biden. Over what? Existing as a non-Republican? These childish political antics and frivolous circus acts might fire up the angry Republican base, and they are always angry. But how is that going to help you and your family pay their bills? By far the worst Republican idea is refusing to raise the debt ceiling. This recklessness, craziness, quite frankly, could cause a government shutdown and meltdown of epic proportions and wreck the world economy. If you think your family's budget is tight now, wait for the economic Armageddon the radical Republicans have planned over the debt ceiling. It could thrust America and the world into the next Great Depression. Why would anybody vote for a party that's promising that madness? But most important of all, Democrats will protect Medicare and Social Security. Republican Senator Rick Scott, head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, put forth a nutty plan that would, as he calls it, sunset Social Security and Medicare. I say we sunset the Republican Party instead. President Barack Obama spoke at a Wisconsin rally in support of Mandela Barnes. Barnes is running to replace Senator Ron Johnson. President Obama eloquently laid out the threat to Social Security and Medicare, and he is telling us exactly what may happen if Republicans take over Congress.
Some of you here are on Social Security. Some of your parents are on Social Security. Some of your grandparents are on Social Security. You know why they have Social Security? Because they worked for it. They worked hard jobs for it. They have chapped hands for it. They had long hours and sore backs and bad knees to get that Social Security. And if Ron Johnson does not understand that, if he understands giving tax breaks for private planes more than he understands making sure that seniors who've worked all their lives are able to retire with dignity and respect, he's not the person who's thinking about you and knows you and sees you, and he should not be your senator from Wisconsin. I mean, the message he's sending is pretty clear. If you're related to him, if you donate to his campaign, you get a deal. If you're not, you're out of luck and you're on your own.
The Republican economic plan is cosplay. Cadillac conservatives dressing up in cowboy boots and lumberjack shirts, trying to identify and pretend they're just one of the guys, one of the regular people, when in fact they're trying to screw the common man and pick their pockets. It's Democrats, not Republicans, who are on your side. It's Democrats who are fighting for you and your family. So think long and hard before turning our nation's economic future over to radical and reckless Republicans. I promise you, with Republicans in charge of our economy, it won't end well. Number one, Democrats are defending democracy, while Republicans shamelessly peddle the big lie and support autocracy. This is the number one issue, because if we lose our freedom, if we lose our democracy, we can't address any of the previous issues I've spoken about today. We will lose our rights. We won't be able to protest or speak freely without fear. Americans will become passive subjects to a king or dictator who governs by whim or mood swing. Is that the repressive political system you want your children and grandchildren to inherit? I didn't think so. This is no joke. This is a 5-alarm fire. A New York Times investigation found that 70% of Republicans running for Congress had questioned the election of President Biden, who won 7 million more votes than Donald Trump and 74 more electors. There are more than 370 election-denying Republicans that could soon be elected. Here's the scary part. Nearly 2/3 of these election deniers are favored to win their races. To address this unfolding calamity, President Joe Biden delivered a powerful and poignant speech on the critical importance of these elections to saving our democracy.
Yet now, extreme MAGA Republicans aim to question not only the legitimacy of past elections, but elections being held now and into the future. The extreme MAGA element of the Republican Party, which is a minority of that party, as I said earlier, but is its driving force, is trying to succeed where they failed in 2020, to suppress the right of voters and subvert the electoral system itself.
Biden's speech was monumentally important. It was historic. He laid out the stakes of this election. It's not about Democrats. It's not about Republicans. It is about preserving a political system where voters choose their leaders. It's a free and fair political system, apparently opposed by Fox's leading propagandist, Tucker Carlson.
Biden commanded you to accept the election results whenever they arrive, no matter what they may be.
That's exactly right, Carlson. Joe Biden did say that the candidate who gets the most votes wins the election. The result should be accepted. Whether or not you and your MAGA cronies like the outcome of the election is irrelevant. That's democracy 101. That should not be controversial. Apparently, fair and free elections are up for debate in today's twisted Republican Party. If you think I'm exaggerating, Republican Wisconsin gubernatorial nominee Tim Michels flat out said that if he wins, Wisconsin will only recognize Republican victories going forward.
Republicans will never lose another election in Wisconsin after I'm elected governor.
What Tim Michels just promised was one-party rule. That's authoritarianism, like they have in Syria, Russia, and North Korea. I don't think that's what Americans want. I don't think we want the North Korean lifestyle. But if you vote for Republicans, that's what you might get. They are flat out telling us what they want to do. It is about time that we listen. The midterms are the first national vote since the January 6th coup attempt. A vote for Republicans is a vote to reward the insurrectionists. It is a vote to endorse their violence. Because if they do not pay a price at the polls for their actions, it will send a horrible message. A message that this belligerent behavior politically that they have exhibited over and over again is acceptable. It's the new norm. Send a powerful message to say, no, this isn't the new norm, and we do not accept your violent rhetoric and behavior. A vote for Democrats is a vote for the rule of law. It is a rejection of political violence. It's a vote to preserve and protect democracy for today, tomorrow, and for the history of this country. When you go to the polls, choose wisely. We don't want this to be the last time we ever get to vote. We don't know what these Republicans have planned. Clearly, they like authoritarianism. Clearly, they have a problem with democracy. They want one-man rule. They're in love with Donald Trump. He's their orange god, their sun king. We don't know what the future holds if they win. We do know what happens if the Democrats win, and that is we continue on as a free country and as a democracy.